100 days of summer vacation, and somehow Phineas and Ferb made every single one count. But how do all those inventions, battles, songs, and time-traveling plots actually line up? Today, I'll be explaining the entire Phineas and Ferb timeline. Starting with the very first day of summer vacation with an episode called Roller Coaster. Phineas Flynn, our favorite triangle-headed optimist, and his stepbrother, Ferb Fletcher, the silent but brilliant man of action, are sitting under their iconic backyard tree, wondering what to do. The idea strikes Phineas. They're going to build a roller coaster. Not just any roller coaster, mind you, but the coolest coaster ever. Their older sister, Candace, is immediately skeptical, and as is her prime directive for the entire series, she's determined to bust them. She wants to show their mom, Linda, the insane contraption and finally get the boys in trouble. As Phineas and Ferb get to work, with help from their friend Isabella Garcia Shapiro, who pops in with her signature catchphrase,
"What you doing?"
the project grows to an absurd scale. A coaster that snakes through the entire city of Danville. While this is happening, we're introduced to the show's B-plot.
Hey, where's Perry?
Their pet platypus Perry isn't just a mindless animal. He dons a fedora and becomes Agent P, a secret agent for the O.W.C.A. OCA, the organization without a cool acronym.
Poor planning on our part, actually. Sorry.
He reports to his commanding officer, Major Monogram, for his mission to stop the evil Dr. Heinz Doofenshmirtz, a lanky, lab coat-wearing evil scientist, is planning to reverse the Earth's rotation using a giant magnet and a massive ball of tinfoil wrapped around the eastern seaboard.
You may well ask yourself,
why? So he can finally have real estate on the West Coast. It's gloriously dumb. As the kids and their entire neighborhood board the roller coaster for its maiden voyage, the two plots start to converge. Agent P battles Doofenshmirtz, and in the chaos, Perry attaches Doof's giant magnet to a helicopter. As the helicopter flies away, the magnet snags the entire steel roller coaster, lifting it out of the sky just as Candace drags their mom to the window. Of course, when Linda looks, there's nothing there. No! Okay, I give up, Candace sighs in defeat. The coaster lands back in their yard, a little banged up, but the adventure is a success. The summer has officially begun. Next up, in Lawn Gnome Beach Party of Terror, the boys decide to bring the beach to their backyard since the local one is too crowded. They build a full-scale beach, complete with sand, a pier, and real ocean waves. For once, Candace decides not to bust them, because her crush, Jeremy Johnson, is coming over, and having the coolest beach party in town is a great way to impress him. She is even crowned Queen of the Beach. It's a rare moment of Candace actually enjoying her brother's antics. Meanwhile, Perry's mission is to stop Doofenshmirtz from stealing all the lawn gnomes in the tri-state area. This episode introduces a key part of Doof's character, his tragic backstories. As a child, his family was so poor that his father was forced to work as a lawn gnome, and Doofenshmirtz had to take his place. It's a hilariously pathetic story that makes you almost feel bad for the guy. His plan is to use a device to collect all the gnomes as revenge. During his fight with Agent P, the device goes haywire and ends up sucking the entire backyard beach into its vortex, cleaning everything up just moments before Mom gets home. Candace's perfect day disappears, but she did get to slow dance with Jeremy, so it's not a total loss. Then we get Flop Stars, which is super important because it establishes the show's musical genius. Linda tells the boys about her past as a one-hit wonder named Lindana, and Phineas gets the idea for the day. They're going to become one-hit wonders. They write an incredibly catchy, nonsensical song called Gitchy Gitchy Goo, and with their band, Phineas and the Ferb Tones, they become an overnight sensation. At the same time, Candace is trying to enter a singing competition at the mall, hoping to become a star. The 100th contestant gets to sing on stage, and wouldn't you know it, Candace is contestant 99. And the band, PFT, is Phineas and the Ferb Tones, of course. Candace is forced to sing their silly song on stage, but when Jeremy encourages her, she embraces it and has a great time. To complete their one-hit wonder checklist, Phineas throws a diva tantrum at the record label. They hear an elevator music version of their song, and they hold a reunion concert all in one day. To keep the introductions coming, The Fast and the Phineas brings the Fireside Girls. The boys decide to pimp out their mom's car and enter it into the Swap Oil 500 race. Isabella promises to bring a pit crew, and she delivers with her troop, Fireside Girls Troop 46231. These girls are not your average scout troop. They are hyper-competent, resourceful, and have a seemingly endless handbook that contains information on literally everything. They prove to be an invaluable asset throughout the series, often helping the boys with their most complex projects. Over in the B plot, Doofenshmirtz is flying overhead in a blimp with his deflatinator, a ray gun that will deflate everything in the tri-state area, giving him a monopoly on inflation. As Agent P fights him, the blimp is damaged and crashes into the race's broadcast tower, cutting the TV feed just as Candace is trying to show her mom the race on the news. The boys' tricked-out car, controlled remotely by Ferb, wins the race, and the Fireside Girls prove they are the best pit crew ever. After that, we meet two more of the gang's core friends in Raging Bully. Phineas accidentally spills ice cream on Buford Van Stomp, the local bully, humiliating him. Buford challenges Phineas to a fight. To prepare, Phineas is trained by none other than boxing champion Evander Holyfield. But the fight turns out to be a thumb wrestling match. Phineas is losing badly until a random scoop of ice cream falls from the sky and lands on his head, humiliating him. Buford, seeing that they're now even, calls off the fight and the two become friends. We also properly meet Baljit Tinder, the nerdy, good-natured kid who's often the target of Buford's bullying, though their relationship is more of a friendly frenemy situation. Where did the ice cream come from? Doofenshmirtz, of course. It was his birthday, and he was reliving his traumatic childhood birthdays where no one, not even his parents, showed up. He was trying to humiliate Agent P with a scoop of ice cream from his flying machine when it got knocked off during their fight, falling perfectly onto Phineas's head. The show continues to build its world in It's About Time. The family visits a museum where the boys find a broken time machine. They fix it, and along with a reluctant Candace, they travel back to the Jurassic period. They get stranded and have to fight off a T-Rex. In a clever move, Phineas carves a message for help into the mud, which becomes a fossil that Isabella and the Fireside Girls find in the present day. Using their trusty handbook, the girls build their own time machine from scratch, travel back, and rescue them. This episode also gives us a tiny hint of the larger Oka, when Doofenshmirtz temporarily gets a new nemesis, Peter the Panda, showing that Perry isn't the only animal agent out there. Then there's Traffic Cam Caper, which really dives into the Oka's rules. A traffic camera happens to catch not only Phineas and Ferb's antics, but also Perry in his Agent P persona. This is a massive security breach. The agency's entire existence depends on the agents maintaining their cover as mindless pets, so Perry is tasked with retrieving the evidence disk. In a strange twist, this puts him in direct opposition to Candace, who also wants the disk to finally bust her brothers. It's a mad dash across Danville, with Perry even enlisting Doofenshmirtz and his robot butler Norm for help. At the climax, Candace has to choose between getting the evidence and saving Phineas from falling off a bridge. She chooses her brother, and Perry secures the disc, saving the Oka from exposure. Perhaps one of the most memorable early episodes is Phineas and Ferb get busted. It's the moment Candace has been waiting for. She finally, successfully busts the boys. Linda sees their giant flying car contraption. The tower it's on collapses onto the house, and the boys are sent to the Smile Away Reformatory School. The place is a nightmare run by a drill sergeant who wants to crush their creativity and imagination. Candace is initially ecstatic, but she quickly realizes she misses her brothers and feels immense guilt. She and Jeremy mount a rescue mission, breaking the boys out. However, it's all revealed to be a dream within a dream. Perry was dreaming that Candace dreamed the whole thing. Season 1 wraps up with a two-part special, Unfair Science Fair. For a science fair project, the boys decide to help Baljit build a functioning portal to Mars. Doofenshmirtz is also at the science fair, determined to finally win after a lifetime of losing to baking soda volcanoes. His own giant, over-the-top baking soda volcano inadvertently causes the portal to Mars to go haywire. In the second part, Unfair Science Fair Redux, we see the same events from Candace's perspective. Feeling lonely and ignored, she accidentally steps through the portal and gets stranded on Mars. There, she's hailed as a queen by the native Martians after she accidentally smashes their broken-down rover. Phineas and Ferb travel through the portal to rescue her, and after some initial reluctance to give up her queendom, she agrees to come home, escaping just in the nick of time before the portal closes for good. The first season did a great job of setting up the world, the formula, the characters, and the running jokes that would make the show what it is today. Season 2, the adventures get even bigger. It kicks off with the Lake Nose Monster, where the gang goes camping at Lake Nose, a place famous for its mythical monster, Nosy. The boys build an underwater headquarters to find it. Perry's mission also takes him to the lake, where Doofenshmirtz is trying to extract all the zinc from the water for some nefarious, never fully explained purpose. It turns out Nosy is real, and he's not a monster at all, just a friendly, shy creature. His survival depends on the zinc in the lake, so Doof's plan is actually killing him. Phineas and Ferb befriend Nosy and save him by giving him a zinc supplement. In the end, Doof's machine and the boys' base are destroyed, erasing all evidence of Nosy's existence and protecting his privacy just as he wanted. Then comes Tip of the Day, an episode that had a weirdly huge cultural impact. Phineas and Ferb realize that nobody knows the name for the plastic tip of a shoelace. It's called an aglet. They decide this is a great injustice and launch a worldwide campaign to raise aglet awareness, complete with a massive concert and a hit song. Doofenshmirtz, meanwhile, is trying to erase an embarrassing viral video of himself from the internet using a Read My Mindinator, connected to a universal delete button. As he's about to activate it, he trips on his shoelace, and his last thought is aglet. He accidentally erases the very concept of the aglet from the world's collective consciousness, which also conveniently gets rid of all evidence of the boys' concert. But for those of us who watched, we will never forget what an aglet is. One of the most iconic episodes of the whole series has to be The Chronicles of Meep. The boys accidentally shoot down a cute little alien spaceship. The alien, who can only say meep, is absolutely adorable, and they set about repairing his ship. But Meep is not what he seems. He's actually an intergalactic peacekeeper, and he's been captured by his nemesis, Mitch, who was pretending to be an innocent alien catcher. Perry's plot this time is one of Doof's most bizarrely heartfelt. He reveals his childhood best friend was a balloon he drew a face on named Balloony. One day, Balloony floated away. Doof has built a giant static electricity generator to attract every balloon in the tri-state area, hoping to be reunited with his long-lost friend. The plots collide when Doofenshmirtz crashes his machine into Mitch's spaceship, and who should be on board but Balloony. In a heartbreaking twist for Doof, Balloony has moved on and doesn't want to go with him. Meep defeats Mitch, the kids are safe, and Doof is left alone once again. The show loved to play with time, and Phineas and Ferb's Quantum Boogaloo takes it to a new level. The boys travel 20 years into the future to find a specific tool. There, they meet a future adult version of Candace. This future Candace, still obsessed with busting, sees them and realizes she has a chance to change the past. She steals the time machine, goes back to the day of the roller coaster, and successfully busts them. When she returns to her own time, she finds a dystopian future ruled by an iron-fisted Emperor Doofenshmirtz. By getting the boys in trouble, she inadvertently stopped them from doing something that would have prevented one of Doof's schemes from succeeding, which led to his takeover. She has to go back in time again to stop her past self from busting the boys, restoring the timeline to its proper fun-filled state. The episode ends with a great gag where future Isabella sees Phineas, hints that she ends up marrying one of the brothers, leading her to wonder if it's Phineas or Ferb. A monumental event called Summer Belongs to You. It's the summer solstice, the longest day of the year, and Phineas wants to make it even longer by building a jet that can fly around the world fast enough to keep up with the Earth's rotation, creating a 24-hour day of sunlight. Buford makes a bet with Phineas. If they fail, Phineas has to admit that summer isn't for everyone and give up inventing for the rest of the summer. The stakes have never been higher. Candace, learning that their flight plan includes a stop in Paris where Jeremy's vacationing, decides to join them instead of trying to bust them. The trip is an epic adventure. They make a stop in Tokyo where they accidentally save Doofenshmirtz's daughter Vanessa after she falls off the Tokyo Tower. The extra weight causes them to crash land in the Himalayas, where they use a giant rubber band ball from Baljeet's uncle's factory to bounce back into the air. They then crash again in Paris. While the gang gathers supplies for repairs, Isabella tries desperately to get Phineas to notice her romantically, resulting in the beautiful song City of Love atop the Eiffel Tower. But Phineas is too focused on the mission to notice. Candace finally meets up with Jeremy, they clear up a misunderstanding, and they officially become a couple. After another crash on a deserted island, Phineas has a crisis of confidence, thinking he's failed, but Ferb reminds him of their can-do spirit. They use a giant map as a paper airplane, and they make it back to Danville just as the sun is setting, winning the bet and proving that summer truly does belong to them. Between seasons 2 and 3, the single most important event in the show's history happened: the movie. Phineas and Ferb the movie Across the Second Dimension, this was a game changer. The story starts on the anniversary of Perry's adoption. The boys build a giant shuttlecock machine to play platypus badminton. The machine accidentally launches them and Perry into Doofenshmirtz's evil incorporated building, where they crash into his brand new other dimensionator. Doofenshmirtz explains it's a portal to a parallel universe. They all decide to step through. This second dimension is a darker, more efficient version of their own. Doofenshmirtz 2 is a genuinely menacing and competent dictator who has successfully taken over his tri-state area with an army of giant robots called Normbots. In this dimension, Perry, unable to keep his secret, reveals his agent identity to Phineas and Ferb to save them. Phineas is devastated. He feels betrayed that his pet, his best friend, has been lying to him his entire life. This emotional conflict is the heart of the movie. The boys, along with their alternate dimension selves, who have lost their spirit for summer after their own Perry disappeared, join the Resistance, led by an eye patch-wearing badass alternate Candace. The plan is to get back to their own dimension and stop Doof 2, who plans to cross over and conquer their world too. The climax is an epic battle in Danville, with kids from all over the neighborhood using replicas of Phineas and Ferb's greatest inventions from past episodes to fight off the Normbot invasion. Doofenshmirtz even gets a moment of heroism, helping to defeat his more evil counterpart. In the end, they win, but the damage is done. Perry's cover is blown. Major Monogram arrives and informs them that because Perry's identity has been compromised, he'll have to be relocated to a new host family. Faced with losing their beloved pet forever, Phineas and Ferb make a heartbreaking decision. They choose to have their memories of the entire adventure, including the knowledge that Perry is a secret agent, erased by the C.W.C.A.'s amnesia-inator. All the other kids who saw Agent P agree to do the same. The movie ends with things seemingly back to normal. Perry gets to stay, but he watches a photo montage of the adventure, a single tear rolling down his face, knowing his owners will never remember their greatest adventure together. Season 3 opens and things are back to business as usual. The episodes continue to be creative, like in My Fair Goalie, where Ferb's British cousins visit and challenge the gang to a game of football. Never one to do things a simple way, Phineas decides they'll play Football X7, a wild three-dimensional version of the game played in a giant zero-gravity gyroscopic stadium. It's an excuse for some amazing visuals and a fun exploration of Ferb's English heritage. The show also started doing a series of historical episodes, imagining what the characters would be like in different time periods. Tri-Stone Area takes us back to the Stone Age with Finnebunk and Gerb, who invent the wheel and then immediately put it on a log to create the first car. Their sister, Candace, tries to bust them to their cave parents. Doofenshmirtz's ancestor, Doofengung, tries to use a stickinator to anger mammoths. It's the same formula, just with cavemen, and it's brilliant. Doof Dynasty sends them to ancient China, where they train as warriors to rescue Princess Isabella from the evil Doofus Khan. Then there's the magnificent Excalibur, a full-blown fantasy parody where Phineas and Ferb are on a quest to find the legendary sword Excalibur to defeat the evil sorcerer Maleficent's. It's a loving tribute to fantasy tropes, complete with a water nymph Vanessa, a talking tree Baljeet, and a monstrous version of Candace. Season 3 also featured another massive two-part special, Where's Perry? The Flynn Fletcher family takes a vacation to Africa where Perry has to stay behind for a mission. Doofenshmirtz has created his most evil device yet, the Ultimate Evilinator, which turns its target evil. He aims it at Major Monogram but misses and hits Carl the intern instead. Evil Carl takes over the Oka and traps Doofenshmirtz. During the ensuing chaos, Doofenshmirtz fires off a bunch of his old innators at random, and one of them hits Perry, causing him to vanish completely. Nobody knows where he is. Back in Africa, Phineas and Ferb are exploring an uncharted gorge when Phineas swears he sees Perry. The kids then spend the rest of the episode on a perilous journey through the gorge, convinced they need to rescue their pet. In the second part, we learn that Perry was hit by the Go-Hominator, but instead of sending him to the Flynn Fletcher house in Danville, it sent him to Africa. Why? Because home isn't a place, it's where your family is. It's a beautiful, heartwarming revelation. The climax sees evil Carl trying to take over the tri-state area with an army of plants, while a captured and de-Fedoraized Perry has to use his platypus instincts to survive in the wild. Eventually, everyone converges. Carl is turned back to normal with a Regoodinator, and Perry is happily reunited with his family, who were looking for him the whole time, proving how much they all love him. A standout episode from this season is This Is Your Backstory, a clip show with a twist. Doofenshmirtz has been kidnapped by the Oka and put on a TV show hosted by a parody of Dr. Phil, where they analyze his ridiculously tragic backstories. It's a hilarious recap of all the insane childhood traumas that supposedly made him evil, from his parents failing to show up for his own birth to being forced to be a lawn gnome. But the biggest revelation comes when they replay a memory of a date he went on in the 80s with a young Linda Flynn, before she married Lawrence. During their date at a drive-in, he told her of his ambition to take over the world. She casually suggested he should start smaller, like maybe the entire tri-state area. It turns out the entire premise of his evil career came from a throwaway comment from Phineas and Ferb's own mom. Season 4, the final season, continued to push the boundaries with some huge crossover events. The first was Mission Marvel. Doofenshmirtz's latest invention, a power draininator, accidentally misfires and hits Iron Man, Spider-Man, Hulk, and Thor, who are fighting villains in New York City. The depowered heroes track the energy signature to Danville and ask Phineas and Ferb for help. The boys build a machine to replicate their powers, but it gets scrambled and they all end up with the wrong abilities. Spider-Man gets super strength, Iron Man gets Thor's lightning, Thor gets a spider sense, and Hulk gets Iron Man's super genius intellect. It's chaos. Meanwhile, Marvel villains Red Skull, Whiplash, Venom, and MODOK team up with Doofenshmirtz to harness his technology for their own evil plans. The episode results in a massive battle at City Hall. With the mixed-up heroes, Phineas and Ferb in their Beak superhero suit and even Agent P fighting to save the tri-state area. Eventually, a space station the boys had built earlier in the episode crashes to Earth, restoring the heroes' powers and saving the day. The other major crossover was Phineas and Ferb Star Wars. This special cleverly retells the story of A New Hope from the perspective of Phineas and Ferb, who are shown to be living on Tatooine, just a moisture farm away from Luke Skywalker. They are happy-go-lucky kids who end up accidentally getting entangled with the Death Star plans after R2-D2 passes by. The plans are accidentally downloaded into their droid, and they have to get them to the rebellion. Ferb is also revealed to have been temporarily turned into a Sith apprentice by a bumbling Darth Doofenshmirtz, who has built a Sithinator to make himself more evil. This leads to an epic lightsaber duel between the two brothers. Candace is a stormtrooper who is obsessed with busting the rebels. Isabella is a rebel pilot and captain of the Centennial Chihuahua. And Perry is a rebel spy who has to stop Doofenshmirtz from blowing up the planet. The story intertwines in and out of the original movie's plot perfectly. ending with Phineas and Ferb receiving medals alongside Luke and Han just off screen. As the series neared its end, it gave us a glimpse into the future with Act Your Age. The episode jumps forward 10 years. Phineas is a teenager about to leave for college. He's trying to decide which school to go to. We learn that all this time he was completely oblivious to the massive crush Isabella had on him throughout their entire childhood. Isabella, having finally given up, is about to leave for Tri-State State College. When Phineas finds out about her lifelong crush from Baljeet, he has a sudden epiphany and realizes he has feelings for her too. What follows is a frantic race against time for Phineas to catch Isabella before she leaves and confess his feelings. He finally meets her on the steps of her college, tells her how he feels, and they share their first kiss. It was the moment fans had been waiting for years. A truly satisfying resolution to the longest-running romance in the show. The episode ends with the iconic song, What Might Have Been, a beautiful and emotional look back at their shared childhood. Then came the finale, the grand one-hour special, last day of summer. It's the final day of summer vacation, and the boys are determined to go out with a bang, creating an everything machine that incorporates elements from all their past projects. Candace, in her final attempt to bust them, fails yet again. Dejected, she goes to Doofenshmirtz's building, where she finds his do-overinator, a machine that can repeat the same day over and over, inspired by a movie he saw. Thinking she can use it to get another chance to bust her brothers, she presses the button. This sets off a time loop, but with a terrible side effect. Each time the day repeats, reality starts to crumble. Objects and even people get sucked into a void dimension and are erased from the memory of everyone left on Earth. First, it's spoons. Then, horrifyingly, Phineas and Ferb themselves are erased from existence. Candace, Isabella, and Buford are the only ones who remember them. Realizing the horror of what she's done, Candace has to lead a mission to save them. They figure out how to enter the Void Dimension, where they find Phineas and Ferb along with all the other forgotten things. Working together, they build a catapult out of the forgotten junk to launch themselves back into the real world, just as the time loop is about to collapse for the final time. Candace manages to destroy the do-overinator, stabilizing the timeline and bringing everyone and everything back. With reality saved, the final moments of the series are quiet and perfect. The whole gang, including Doofenshmirtz, who has decided to be a good guy for the summer, gathers under the tree in the backyard. They talk about what they'll do tomorrow, now that summer's over. Isabella asks Phineas what he's gonna do, and in a final perfect line, he looks at all his friends and family and says, I think we should do it all. It was a beautiful, fitting end to a show all about making the most of every single day, celebrating creativity, friendship, and the endless possibilities of summer. But if you thought that was wild, wait until you see every Oka agent explained. Click the video on screen now to find out.